Hey guys, this is Substitute Topher. This week I've been driving this 2024 Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. This midsize SUV has been extensively facelifted for the 2024 model year. Most notably, the VR6 is gone. In its place, a standard 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It makes 269 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. Power is sent to all four wheels via an 8-speed automatic transmission. Today we're going to walk you around this new Atlas Cross Sport, and then we'll take it out on the road, show you what it's like to drive. So right off the bat, when this showed up earlier this week, I was blown away by this color, Kingfisher Blue. You can see now our extensive facelift. This thing has a completely new face, generally what a facelift means. This new fascia, this light bar goes all the way across the grille, and this doesn't really show it too well during the day, but I'll put in a clip of what this looks like at night. Even the Volkswagen badge lights up on this thing. So a pretty cool new look for 2024. Honestly, most of the changes are inside, but we do have new front and rear fascias. You can see we have this continuous taillight, which I think the Germans would have called a Heckenblende in the 80s, but now it's just a big taillight on the back. This Atlas Cross Sport has the towing package. We have a 5,000 pound towing capacity. And if you're wondering what the actual Atlas Cross Sport is, it's essentially a regular Volkswagen Atlas with no third row and a fastback roof line. So it kind of sits between the Tiguan and the big Atlas. This thing starts at a base front-wheel drive level around 38 grand. This SEL premium R-Line top trim is about $53,000. So it ain't cheap, but this is probably the nicest Volkswagen I've ever driven. And I've given the Atlas some slack in the past. I have never really been a huge fan of it, but with this facelift, with the couple of tweaks they've done, this thing really does feel properly nice. So I'm excited to show you around it and take it for a drive today. Let's check out our cargo space in the back, which is honestly where this thing shines as well. The regular Atlas has the third row. You don't have as much room back here. With the Cross Sport, we have an immense amount of cargo space in the back. We also have a spare tire. A little bit of room underneath, not a ton. But, I mean, this thing is so spacious inside. Let's fold these seats down as well and show you how much room you actually have. You can see that operation there as well. To make this fold extra flat, the actual seat bottom moves forwards as well. You can see that operation there. So we just have a ton of room in this thing. It's basically a cargo van. So pretty impressive. Power boot, of course. Seat folded back up, and we'll show you rear seat room. Ingress and egress, excellent in this car. We have a ton of room to step in. This Atlas doesn't sit super high off the ground. It's only got about 6.5 inches of ground clearance, so you're not going to be able to do a ton of crazy off-roading, but it's enough to get you down the trail to your campsite if you need. I have a ton of legroom in here. I've got a ton of headroom as well, despite the fastback roof design that we get in this thing. We have a nice black leather interior with blue inserts almost. It's kind of like an underlay. I think that's what they call it. So mostly black, white piping, blue underlay on our perforations. I think that looks really quite nice. Armrest with a couple of cup holders. We have sunshades in the back of this premium R-Line trim. There we go. Your kids definitely won't be snapping those shut like that and driving you crazy. We have heated rear seats in this car, a couple of USB-C ports. We have a traditional wall style outlet down there as well. Seat back pockets. I think the biggest importance back here is just the amount of room that I have. I honestly think you could fit 3 adults comfortably back here. Despite the fact that this is all-wheel drive, we have a very small intrusion back here, so you could sit in the middle and still have a pretty dang good amount of room. So I'm impressed with The packaging here in this Atlas Cross Sport, when this came out, I wasn't expecting it to be as practical as it is, but I think the fact that they've kept it so large, since it's based on the Atlas, it still does retain quite a bit of practicality. Got some overhead LED lights. Before we step up front, we'll give you a look at the dashboard. This is where a lot of the changes have happened for 2024, and we'll talk about that once we get up front. But I wanted to give you guys an overview from back here. Big panel roof on this car, black headliner. Overall, a really nice look. And I've got to give Volkswagen compliments. If you spend 50 grand on their top trim car, they will give you matching door panels. So that's a nice thing. Check that out. Very good. They've actually continued spending money into the back seat of this car. Very proud of them for that. Let's pop the hood, check out this 2-liter turbo. Now, this is a slight power bump from our old powertrains, up to 269 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. And look how low down this thing sits. I mean, it looks so tiny in here. Obviously, this engine compartment had room for a V6 because that's what it had before. So the 2-liter does look minuscule in here, but nevertheless, there it is. In fact, the actual air box is almost the size of the entire engine. So, kind of a silly look, but there it is. We do have a hood strut, very nice. 0W20 oil for this Volkswagen Cross Sport. I was hoping the sun would peek through so you guys could see this Kingfisher blue in all its glory. I mean, overall, it's a nice looking SUV. I mean, this is a more upscale look than you would expect from another SUV in this class. So props to Volkswagen for making this thing look just a bit nicer. We have some Bridgestone Alenzas on this car, 265, 45, 21. That is a squared setup to the back. So just a pretty standard all-season tire on this. Whew, it's freezing. Let's hop in and let's show you this new suite of features in the front. We have memory seats. This is kind of a faux carbon trim. It's continued throughout the dashboard. A pretty simple layout. Now, this is the biggest thing. We have this raised console now, which allows you for some storage underneath. The 2023 and prior Atlas had a physical shifter. We now have this small, almost Porsche style or Volkswagen GTI Golf R style shifter that is still physical. It still, moves about. But it gives you quite a bit more room, frees up some space here for things below. Cup holders, we have a slot up here for your phone. Mine is on the wireless charger right now. 2 USB-C ports as well. Moving up, the most controversial part of this facelift, and we all have our opinions on this infotainment system. They've been updating it. It honestly works. It works better than it did. It doesn't have the awful lag that we saw a couple of years ago when they first launched this 12-inch or 13-inch infotainment system. Do I love having everything in here still? Not really, but we've talked enough about this infotainment. And the sun's just come out at the perfect time for me to show you this paint in the sun real quick. Here we go. Okay, we're just taking a second. Such a cool color. Volkswagen has made that happen, so I would stop talking about their infotainment. Okay. Just a couple more things with this, and we'll move on. The biggest problem for me with this is when you're driving at night, none of this lights up, so you're not able to see your climate adjustments. Not a big fan of that. You have to actually go into this climate menu to adjust anything at night. So maybe at night, use auto, and you won't have to worry about doing it. Otherwise, we have these 4 buttons at the bottom, of course, one for climate, one for your drive mode, one for your parking menu, and one for your driving assists. Otherwise, this works just as it did before, just runs a lot smoother. Wireless Apple CarPlay, haven't had an issue with that at all this week. Things seems to be running perfectly smooth. What I do love about this is the quick access to our sound adjustment for our Harman Kardon audio system, which is standard on the top SEL premium trim. We have a 6-band equalizer here, which I actually had the subwoofer turned up a bit, but we'll set it back to its normal level because we'll do a sound system test a bit later. We have some different sound modes here, so we'll go through those later as well when we test out the sound system. In front of us, we have a fully customizable digital cluster, and joy of joys, this R-Line steering wheel has physical buttons. They did away with the stupid haptic touch buttons that we hated on the GTI, the Golf R, and other vehicles that had this exact steering wheel. So they have listened to us in some respect, and they've given us physical buttons. We have a heated steering wheel, which we will turn on, and we have this view button here that will cycle us through all of our different cluster designs. So this one I've enjoyed, reminds me, or it is the same as the Volkswagen Golf R. We have our R badge there in the middle. You can also have this one, which is kind of just a traditional analog style cluster layout. We have a nav screen, also very cool, love it. We've got a calm screen, and then we have, I don't know, whatever you call that. Very nice leather wrapped steering wheel. It's a soft leather. You can tell that the leather on this steering wheel is not the same as the leather you get on a $28,000 Volkswagen Tiguan, and I can confirm that because I just drove one a couple weeks ago. Got to be careful saying the V word in here because then it thinks you're talking to it. All right, well, I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about in here. I mentioned this is 53 grand. The only thing I wish I had was a power adjust steering column. For 53,000 with the top trim of this midsize SUV, I think that they should have it. There goes Stu. Okay, let's take this Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport out on the road and see what it's like to drive. We'll use our tiny little dainty shifter, put ourselves into reverse. That will show you our parking cameras, 360 camera, pretty nice reverse camera as well. Of course, our lines swivel with us. We also have a little track on here to show you where the car is going. Put down into drive, we have a front camera that pops up. Pretty nice. Volkswagen also seems to have tweaked some of the driving characteristics of this Atlas, which is nice because Atlases of the past have not always had the best throttle tuning, and we actually saw this in the Volkswagen Tiguan that we drove a couple of weeks ago. Granted, that was a front-wheel drive car. I believe the last Atlas we drove was front-wheel drive as well. Now, this 4Motion Atlas doesn't have the best throttle tuning in the world. It is a little bit jumpy still, but it's better. They're getting there. They're doing the thing to make this more livable to where you're not just spinning the wheels when you take off. So props to them for fixing the throttle tuning a bit and giving us some buttons back. Volkswagen is listening. The only thing we need back now is a volume knob, and I expect to see that back in the next couple of years. Enough people have complained. You do have to rev this 2-liter out quite a bit to get this thing going. I mean, power's okay. I wouldn't even really call it quick. You know, this is quite a large all-wheel drive SUV, so sometimes under 300 horsepower doesn't quite cut it. Let's check out our different drive modes. Eco, Comfort, Sport, Custom, Off-Road, and Snow. Let's try Sport mode. Mainly just because I want to show you guys what this thing sounds like with the piped-in engine noise. They thought, we're giving it the Golf R cluster, let's make it sound like the Golf R as well, which, to be fair, 2-liter turbo. It's a little silly, but you know, can you blame them? Okay, so we have D, we have S. Of course, it defaults to S, which is a sport tune for the transmission. I've got it tuned. Looks like we're going to take What are we going? 16 around here today. Okay, well, we're going to have to do this again. Let's test out kickdown. I may be slightly jaded because I spent half the week in a Mercedes GLS 580, which had over double the amount of horsepower of this Atlas. So I suppose it has an adequate amount of power. Ooh, little blip on that downshift there. Well, we have open road. Let's see how this thing gets off the line. So it will override your manual mode with the kickdown switch, of course. Pretty smart shifts from this 8-speed automatic. I've had no issues with it this week. Seems to pretty much always know what to do. Okay, so I'm going to turn my heated seat off, which requires multiple clicks. You all are seeing that. Okay. Let's do a brake test. Why not? Go from like 55. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Does all right. Eco mode kills your piped-in engine noise. Just completely gets rid of it, which I quite like. Actually, let's just turn this down a little. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. The ride. Not the best thing in the world, and I think that has quite a bit to do with our 21-inch wheels on this car. I think the actual damping and tuning of the suspension is fine. I think that they've kind of leaned a little bit more towards sporty with this car. It is the Cross Sport with the fastback roofline, so they probably want a little bit of that sporty nature of the GTI, the Golf R in this SUV, and I understand that, but it isn't as soft as I would like it to be. At the end of the day, this is still an SUV. It should be, comfort should be the number one priority, and I don't think that they've necessarily done that. The good thing is you can have an SEL R-Line with smaller wheels. It's a trim level below this, and you'd save a few grand doing so. So that may be the way to do it. This premium trim, I don't know. It's a little bit hard to argue in behalf of, because of all of the standard safety features and other things that you get on just the base SE car. I mean, everything I have here, for the most part, you get on the standard car. The lane keep assist, the adaptive cruise, whatever they call these things. They all come on the base car. So you're really paying for these upgraded materials, the nice soft leather steering wheel, the leather seats that are heated and cooled, the four-wheel drive, the nice Kingfisher blue paint, the 21-inch wheels, the Harman Kardon sound system. Those are all the things that you're paying an extra, $10,000 over a base, even more, $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 more than a base car. A little bit hard to argue. I just realized I'm not in the correct mode to take this entrance ramp. Man, that is a rough engine noise, piped-in engine noise to listen to. Let's try out our cruise control. I think it was already on. Oh, no, it wasn't on. Set. There we go. Here's our travel assist. We'll wait till we have some central lines, and then we'll... Predictive control currently not available. I don't know what that means, but it is still steering for me. Nice. It'll take this corner with no problem. Let's see how long it lets me go before it yells at me. Take over steering. Okay. Completely? Nope, just for a second. So I'll let you go about 10-15 seconds before it yells at you to take over. Nice. Okay, that's enough of that. EPA rates this Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport at 19 city and I want to say 26 highway. And I'm a little unprepared for what sort of economy I've been getting, but I'll be able to tell you in just a second because I have that over here in the cluster. Average economy. 10. Well, okay. A little bit skewed because we've been flogging it today. I should be able to see my combined economy here. Other times I've checked this week, we've been getting just about 20. So pretty accurate for what it's rated. Combined is 22. So it's cold in Michigan this week. We've been getting around 20 when we haven't been flogging it. All right, I think it's a good time now to get away from this Subaru Impreza. Let's go over here. Let's get the sound system test song queued up. We'll let you listen to all the different settings of this Harman Kardon sound system, and then we'll give you some final thoughts on this Atlas Cross Sport. We're going to start in this music note mode, and then we'll go to palm tree, microphone, and lightning bolt. Turning circle's not great. That's another thing. The two modes I like best with this sound system are the far right setting and the far left setting. The music note and the lightning bolt. I mean, these are going to be a little bit more of a charged, I guess, a little bit more of an energetic listening experience. This is a calm listening experience, maybe if you're listening to, I don't know, classical music or something. And then this is the mode for if you like listening to podcasts and things. This will bring out the vocals. Overall, a pretty good sound system. I mean, it's certainly not the best thing in the world. On Charlie from Daily Motors scale, he would probably award this sound system with a high B, a B plus, something of that nature. It's a good system. It's got pretty good power. I would maybe like a little bit more for this price point, but as far as, you know, the average person goes, I don't think they're going to have any problem listening to this Harman Kardon system. Okay, well, I guess, you know, that will essentially wrap this up. I got to be honest with you guys, I went into this week not expecting much from this Atlas Cross Sport. In fact, I wasn't even really planning on filming a review on this thing for the TheTopher channel, but this car surprised me, and I was impressed enough with it to where I figured I would bring you all along, take you out and show you what it's like. I like this car for what it is. I think that Volkswagen has done a good job with the packaging in this car. I think it makes sense. There's a lot of nice materials in this. I love this steering wheel. I like this trim that goes along the dash. We have some nice ambient lighting in this car as well, which I'll insert a clip and show you all how that looks. They've done a fantastic job with that. They've done a good job bringing this thing to a bit more of an upscale segment, and I appreciate that. Do I love some of the things with this infotainment? No. But I think they've started making enough tweaks, enough adjustments to this to make it make a bit more sense. It's a bit more usable now. Things work a little bit faster. I think overall they've made something nice here. It's a little expensive in the upper trim levels, but luckily there are enough standard features on the SE, the SEL, where I think you could comfortably go with one of those cars and be fine. I would not necessarily recommend going for a front-wheel drive model. I haven't driven a 2024 front-wheel drive, but in the past, the throttle tuning on front-wheel drive Volkswagen SUVs has been poor, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, though, it's nice. I think this is the nicest Volkswagen I've driven in a long time, and that includes everything. So do with that information what you will. They've done a pretty good job here with this facelift, and I'm happy with this car. I'm not blown away by it, but I'm happy with it, and I would certainly recommend cross shopping the Cross Sport with, that was terrible, with some of its competitors. So give it a chance. Kingfisher blue is beautiful. We're going to have a bit of sun here for you guys to see it one last time for our closing walk around here. Cool. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this Atlas Cross Sport. I'm sure I left a few things out, and the TheTopher or I will do our best to answer them for you. But here it is one last time on the outside. Not a bad thing. Cool. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.